Now?
Yeah, it's now.
Or now?
Now.
Now?
Now.
Okay. Hey, everybody, what is going on, speculators? Welcome. It is Thursday night. You know what time that means. It's PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM. We are back. We're late as usual. As I told Mav in the background, we're becoming the Jez and Rand show of Thursday nights. That's what we're doing here, since we are both hectic up until the point that we actually go live. So appreciate you all waiting. I know Mav just said that we've got over 60 already here. Bless you all. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us tonight on this Thursday. It is January the 12th, 2023 already. News dropping this week. Fun news. We got a lot to get into. But first, I've got to introduce the man of the hour. The guy who started this little channel, which is now blowing up, just surpassed what, 2,800 subs? Is that what you just passed?
Yeah, we had said 2,800. I'm hoping we can maybe do 3K before Starfield comes out.
Before Starfield, easy.
Think so?
Easy peasy. 3,500 before Starfield comes out.
Wow.
That's better.
No,
3,500.
Yeah, okay.
35. Look, Steel set.
Well, I don't want Starfield to be delayed, though. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. March.
Okay.
You can hit 3,500 by March. That's not a problem. But yeah, my co-host, the man who gave me the power to captain this ship on PM and the PM. That's right, the one, the only, Fun Speculation, aka Mav. What is going on, brother? How has your week been? Have you been playing any games, or has work just taken over your life? What's going on?
Work's taken over my life, but still made time to play some Midnight Suns recently as well.
Nice.
So that's kind of like my go-to game right now. I just love it, dude. The more I play it, the better it gets, and
yes, sir.
It is 100% my favorite game of 2022 for sure. Now, like, there's not even a second close at this point.
Not even Power Washer? Come on, man.
Well, that was fun. But I feel like the story in that game is like so good, bro. It just side little tangents, how they have these different storylines to start focusing on the different characters, and you really dive deep. And there was like one about a birthday party and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm like, man, this is actually really cool. And it goes like and it goes sideways after that. It goes on another tangent. I'm like, man, this is like so cool. Like just random like story that is well written. You know what I mean?
It's like comics, Mav. It's like the comics back in the day, right? Because you would be reading issues of comics. And again, I was a comic dude back in the 80s and early 90s, right? So I was in that big prime spot. But that's what it reminded me of, Matt, because you'd be reading comics, and if you were following, let's say me, I was an Uncanny X-Men guy, like you would have issues where there was like a main storyline, some main topics going on, whatever. They were fighting somebody, they're trying to figure something out, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden you get an issue that was like about a birthday party or a shopping trip. I remember there was one where I think Storm and Rogue and it wasn't Dazzler. Maybe it was Dazzler. I can't remember. Anyway, or maybe it was Kitty Pryde. They all went on a shopping trip, and it was a shopping mall episode. That's what it reminds me of. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's exactly what you're talking about. That's how it kind of, when I say it's a comic book style story, that's what I mean. It's old school comic book style. I love it.
Yeah, and after you complete the missions, how they have that like comic show up on the screen. I love that too.
You could spend hours in editing those. Oh my god!
You could tell like the devs when they made this game, probably this was like a passion thing for them, right?
Yeah.
And it comes through like the Marvel fandom of these characters, and like they're really paying respects to each one of them. Like each and every single one of them is like so good, so great, man. I can't honestly pick a favorite right now. Because the more time I spend like with different ones, I'm like, ooh, that's my favorite now. Oh, that's my favorite now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Midnight Suns is amazing. And then just whenever we're not doing that, Halo here and there, but mainly Warzone with Kate as always. So
nice, good for you. I haven't popped on Modern Warfare in so long.
Yeah,
it's sitting there. I haven't deleted it, but so no,
yeah,
that's
we have
cool.
fun.
That's
we have
cool.
fun with that. It's pretty. Kate, that's like Kate's favorite thing to do right now is play Warzone.
Yeah, That's cool. That's awesome. It's amazing when you have somebody like that around that wants to do something like that. It makes it all the better. So
The only thing that's like, whenever I have time to play games, she's like only wants to play Starfield. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go. She's like, oh, you're not gonna play
Starfield,
Wars? I mean, Wars. Sorry,
you're already getting ready. You're
I
already
am.
getting ready.
Warzone, right? And I'm like, yeah, I want to play Warzone, but ooh, Midnight Suns is calling to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like,
I
oh,
do.
but yeah, so it's a little only have time to play one thing, so it's hard to make that decision sometimes.
That's funny. That's good stuff. Yeah, my week, pretty crazy actually. I'll go back to last weekend because I used the free to play days and I was playing Saints Row. Um, as I mentioned, because it popped up on free to play days last week, and of course, everybody here knows how I felt about Saints Row and what they did to it. But again, I'm the guy who, if you offer me a trial or a free download, I'm going to do it and I'm going to play around with it because it's a sandbox open world game that you can just have some fun in.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and I actually wound up between I think it went live like late Wednesday night, right into Thursday, and then it lasts through Sunday night. I put like 23 hours into Saints Row, I think something like that, messing around with it. Again,
Nice.
skipped every cutscene. I hated every character in there, but the driving around, the missions, and that kind of stuff, if I didn't like look at it through the eyes of an old Saints Row fan and like judged it as a Saints
Mm-hmm.
Row game, like I said, if I just judge it as like some generic third party Saints Row like game that came out, then it was fine. It was
Yeah,
fun to fool around with.
it's dumb fun, right?
It's dumb fun. They still have I can't believe they haven't patched some of the problems. Again, I'm not a guy who I don't care about the bugs per se. Some of them are funny, some of them are just dumb. I don't care about bugs. Everybody here knows that as well. But I can't believe they haven't patched some of them at this point. Like I was getting some weird. I was like, really, guys? After all, like I thought by now you guys have this thing locked. The gunplay is not as good as Saints Row 3 Remastered. I'm sorry, the gunplay is terrible. I hate it. I can't stand it. But again, I put 23 hours into it. But that's the type of gamer I am. I again, even if a game isn't like the best, I will still play it if I'm having an overall good time. And I will say the missions, run around collecting cars, doing all that kind of stuff was dumb fun. Playing dress up with my girl is dumb fun, right? That's all in there, even if it's downgraded from the old ones. So shout out to Saints Row. Didn't make me go buy it. I now know that if it comes on sale, if I find it at 10, maybe $15, I'll pick it up and fool around with it some more. But I did that. And then I'm in the middle of being a full-time grazer. Like I go through stretches where there's a game like Midnight Suns for nearly 3 weeks was pretty much all I played.
Right.
But then my grazer tendencies come back in. You guys know I picked up Watch Dogs 2 again out of the blue. And so I've been still hacking on Watch Dogs 2 as well. I thought about picking up the season pass, which is on sale for like $8 right now. That's how much I've been fooling around with Watch Dogs 2. But now we got the Ubisoft Plus news, so I'm thinking about holding up, but we'll see. And then also this week, the new rewards went up for Microsoft. And the big 250 point reward for this week was jumping back into Dishonored 2.
Right.
I jumped back into Dishonored 2 and was like,
did you get lost?
Yeah,
let's
keep playing. Let's keep playing Dishonored 2. I'm like, I might have to get used to 30 frames per second games again because of Starfield. So I might have to. I'm already prepping for that. So I'm like, let's just play Dishonored 2 because I love the Dishonored series. And so I've been hacking on Dishonored 2 and loving every minute of it yet again.
Nice.
So yeah. So and then like I said, I've got probably another 5 little ones in there that I've jumped in and out of and done things with. But those are my main ones. But I'm in full grazer mode right now. Old game grazer mode. Not even new game grazer. I've got new games to play. I've still got Persona 5 sitting there. I've still got Midnight Suns I got to jump back into.
Yeah.
I still got all this. No, that's not how my brain works. So it's been Watch Dogs 2, Saints Row last weekend, Watch Dogs 2, and Dishonored 2. That's what I've been doing this week. Having a good time. Anybody who hasn't played Dishonored, if you can handle 30 frames, go back and play them. They are worth it. It's Arcane's finest. I personally like the Dishonored series better than the Prey and better than Deathloop. So for me, that's peak Arcane. The storytelling, all the mechanics work so well together between weapons and powers. How many different ways you can tackle a situation. That is peak Arcane to me in that series. And the leap. I know not everybody agrees that Dishonored 2 was a leap. Some people like Dishonored 1 better, but overall, Dishonored 2 is a great game if you get into it. And if you can't, so be it. Again, I understand. But I love Dishonored 2. I love Dishonored 1 as well. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this week, Matt. So it's been kind of a goofy week. And dreaming of Starfield.
Ain't nothing wrong with playing older games.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, you know me. No, I don't have a problem with it. I love it.
Especially when they get updates for free as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Which Dishonored didn't. Which
no.
Sucks,
I wonder if they will ever go back and do that, though. I mean, like a collection or something, or just update it for free.
If they go back to that world, I think it's possible, right? If they go back to that world, I think it's possible that they come back and maybe redo them again and make it a full package deal. But otherwise, I don't know at this point, with way Arcane's talking about Redfall, and this is the new Arcane, and this is the Arcane that we've always envisioned with Redfall. I don't know.
Yeah.
They might never go back again.
It's funny. It's funny that you're saying you got to get used to playing 30 frames games again, because there might be a lot of them, the more than we thought potentially this generation, man. It's like, I don't know. But on the third party side, especially, it's looking like more of a potential for that. So we'll see. I don't know.
I think there's a discussion to be had too, Mav, because at some point now, and I said this in the DMs today, if this continues down this road, and I'm not being over the top dramatic, I'm not just throwing this out there just for the sake of throwing this out there, because I wouldn't do that. But honestly, if the generation continues down this road and the third parties are going to continue to treat some of the third parties, not every single one, but some of the third parties are going to continue to treat console players and console games like third class citizens, and we wind up paying more for the games than are over on PC, I'll wind up a PC guy by the end of this generation. I've already been looking at couch setups for PC because I won't stop playing on the couch. That's again, that's part of the appeal of a console, is being able to play on my couch and sitting back from my big screen and doing that. But I've been looking into it, and it's getting easier and easier. As the years go by, more and more companies are supporting it. You can go in and change the fonts, font sizes on a lot of these games, etc. So a lot of the problems of old are gone. Outside, of course, that you're still dealing with PC, and PCs are whatever. They're sketchy at best. Okay. So, but if this is the case, literally it's starting to turn me off from consoles if we are going to continue to get treated this way. If the devs, and again, I understand, and we've talked to 3-Bit, we've talked to plenty of people in the know, plenty of other people have talked about this. At this point in this generation, there are going to be games that will come out that it will be impossible for them to get more than 30 frames on the console. And I understand that. I understand that I paid much less money than I would for a comparable PC. I understand that's one of the trade-offs. I understand all of that. So I'm not going there. And I understand there will be games that push the boundaries so far this gen that it's just not possible for the devs to do. But these games like Gotham Knights, potentially Harry Potter, these games that from the minimum spec PC requirements. And again, I understand it's not a one-for-one. Nobody has to explain. I'm not the tech guy, but I'm around plenty of people who have talked this talk now for 2 years on podcasting. So I do understand it's not a one-for-one. But when you see a minimum spec of like a 1080 on PC that gets 1080p, 60 frames, there's zero reason why the console can't do that, especially the Series X. There's zero reason outside of the devs prioritize PC optimization. The consoles come second, and it's an afterthought, and the publishers say, nope, you're out of time, you're out of resources, got to go, push it out the door. Consoles get left behind. So, oh, well, they'll deal with it. They've dealt with it for decades, right? Or B, it's because the PlayStation 5 and Sony's contracts may not allow for them to make the Series X sing versus the PS5 because of those parity clauses, etc. Now, again, how far that extends, I don't know. But those are the only reasons why. And again, I just want the devs to put the minimum effort. I'm not asking for the whole suite of PC options that they get with all the different graphic settings and all that kind of.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for that. Now, neither
you
or not.
2 modes.
Yes, I'm asking for 2 modes. That's it. Just give me a minimum mode, 60 frames. If it's 1080, so be it. But put it in there so I have the choice of deciding between the two what I want to play. That's fine. But again, if they're going to continue to do this, if we move through this generation, these third-party devs continue to or increase putting out 30 frames as the games come out this gen on the consoles, then yeah, I'm going to seriously look at building a PC by the end of this generation. So the next generation, I don't have to deal with this. And if I wind up getting a PC in between because I need to start doing content creation, I really want to do that. Now I'm planning on getting a beefier PC because it will be a gaming PC for me because there are going to be games that I play on. If Starfield comes out, it's at 30 frames locked.
Yeah, you're going to want that. You're going to want to try and get that PC sooner than later if you can.
Yes, and I already said it. I'll play the damn game. I'm not going to not play Starfield because it's 30 frames. Again, I don't have a problem with 30 frames. I go back to old games all the time. I still play my 360 for God's sakes. So I don't have a problem with that. But if Starfield comes out at 30 frames locked, I'm still going to be on these shows saying it's unacceptable. Okay, unless somebody gives me a really, really good reason that the game can't do 60 or that they couldn't have found a way with all the engineers, top engineers from Xbox helping Bethesda work on this game. I'm still going to be on these shows saying it's unacceptable in 2023, Todd. I'm going to be playing your game, and I'll probably be loving the hell out of it, and I'm going to be praising it, but I'm going to say the 60 frames mode is an L, period. Now, again, we don't know, so I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm not going to get all emotional about that, but if I had a PC, like Jasper said in our DMs, he said the same thing. If Starfield comes out at 30 locked on consoles, he's playing it on PC. So if I wind up with a PC that can play it, that's where I'm going to play it for sure. And again, it's not right, man. I understand our consoles are not the best of the best. I understand they have limitations. I understand all of that. And I'm not asking the devs to go out of their way to somehow squeeze out
something that's can't
miraculous,
happen. Right.
Some miraculous performance for the consoles. I'm not asking for that at all. And I'm not denying that there's not reasons why they can't do it. And sacrifices have to be made. I get all that. I just want 2 options, man. That's it.
Yeah.
You got anything to add?
I agree with you. It's just options, and treat console players with the same respect that you do with the PC players. And also, I think a lot of times it comes down to priorities with when you are deciding to create a game. What are your priorities, right? And I feel like everything has a budget, not only with money, but with time, right?
Yes.
So,
yes, correct.
And there's decisions you make along the way, and like, what is this game going to be? What are we going to push, right? How are we going to make this different, right? I feel like a lot of times, some of the decisions that they make are more about flash, right? And for marketing purposes or for whatever reason, and just the latest and coolest thing they can try and figure out, put in there or whatever, as opposed to performance, right? And for me, I prefer, especially since I've experienced it this generation, hands down, 100%, performance is king for me, right? Graphical fidelity is great, but we've reached a point in there with graphical fidelity, and a lot of these games freaking gorgeous, right? Like, they look amazing, and you could push it that much further, but if you can't get it at 60 and you're only doing like a 30 frames mode because you went that far, and not give the people that prefer playing at 60, because for me 60 looks better, right? Because it's in motion and it looks better. It like actually starts affecting my eyes and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, this is weird, right? When I'm playing at 30, if you don't give them an option, a scale back option, right? Then that's where it becomes, well, our priorities were this, and we never considered everybody else that prefers to play at 60. And if you put a poll out there, I guarantee you the very, very high on the 60 frames side out there, which gamers prefer to play at, right? PC gamers have been playing at 1080 60 or 1440 60 over 4K for a long time, right? And that's because it's a choice. They've had that option. That's just their preference, right? So I just want that same choice. And I understand there's people that want the 4K at the expense of performance, right? They want 4K expensive performance. They want ray tracing at the expense of performance. They want the best fidelity and everything, all the bells and whistles at the expense of performance. I say you're not wrong for wanting that. I commend you for wanting that as well. I think it's awesome. For me, that doesn't do as much when the game's in motion and I'm playing it personally, right? So I want them to have the option for you, and I want them to have the option for me. And that's something that's always existed on PC. And now that consoles have reached that point to where they can do that, and which we've seen a lot of developers take advantage of it, when we have some come out that are not taking advantage of that, or that have limited themselves in the scope of, or with their priorities in the wrong place early on in the development decisions, didn't allocate their budget right, whether it be money or time, to screw over pretty much the console gamer, who has to pay more in some circumstances and doesn't get the same level of value back, right? And that's just what it is. It's just options, right?
Yeah.
Options and just a respect thing. But yeah, besides that, I mean, we'll see what happens with Hogwarts Legacy, man.
Yeah.
It's up in the air right now. We'll see what happens with Starfield as well. Starfield would be a bigger travesty for me because it's a first party game at this point. Correct. And I feel like that Xbox would be I don't know. You just got to figure out a way to make that an option, right?
Correct.
It's not a good look, right? If you don't get that done. Besides that, though, most games are going to have 60 frames options, except for some of these big third party games that are going to be coming out, and which I don't see any rhyme or reason why not to. But we got on a side tangent. I didn't even mean to take it this far on this thing, but it is what it is, I guess. We have some super chats to get to, though, Paul.
Yeah, go ahead. Grab those super chats while you're there. No, I mean, it was a good topic because it's coming up again. And like I said, we're probably going to have this conversation with Hogwarts. It's a possibility. They put out the PC minimum specs today, is why this came up again in our DMs and why the conversation started. And again, the lowest or the recommended is a 1080 Ti that'll give you 1080p and 60 frames per second at high settings. Again, from everything I've heard from all the people that know tech, the Xbox Series X is well beyond a 1080. Okay, I'm not saying it's a 4090 or 3080 or anything crazy like that, but I do know, even though it's not a 1-for-1, the 1080 is a much lesser hardware than the Series X is. And so to me, there's no reason why they can't, unless they don't have the time, the resources, etc. And again, we're not saying we want 4K 60 ray tracing on our $500 consoles at all. I'm not asking for any of that. All I want is the bare minimum. That's it. And an option. That's it. Options. That's it.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. Grab the super chats.
Options for you and for me. When we're asking for this, we don't want them to take away your 30 frames fidelity mode. We just want what we want too. Come on, everybody. Get behind the options. Moneybag97 said with a $5 super chat. Y'all being true Xbox soldiers like me, 2023 will bring y'all 100 plus subs our year. I appreciate that, dude. Or 1,000 plus. Sorry. Yeah, let's go, Moneybag. Moneybag97 also with a $5 super chat says, when ABK deal gets done, what y'all think about COD spinoff, Marvel remakes, Darkness remakes? Man, I don't know. The thing about that stuff is like licensing issues, right? Because they don't so a lot of those games you can't even buy now, right? So maybe they can update them for free. Maybe they can't. Remakes, I would assume you would require new licenses for the remakes. Look how much trouble they had getting GoldenEye to finally eventually come out soon. I don't know whose fault that was, but like there's usually Marvel stuff and things like that is licensing, but I hope so, man, because they got a lot of cool stuff out there. What do you got? One you'd want to see, Pong?
As far as specifics for Activision, is that what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
a remake for like a Marvel or Darkness was great. Um,
Darkness was fantastic. I
yeah,
go back and play them on the 360 from time to time. Darkness is always great. If you haven't picked them up yet, they're always on sale. They're backwards compatible all the time, so you can grab those. Darkness is a great one. Um, Prototype is the game I want them to bring back. I think Prototype could be the anti superhero game that would not be licensed, so Phil doesn't have to worry about that. They own the license to it once they own ABK. Prototype, you could rebuild that from the ground up, Mav, and have a freaking amazing anti-hero type superhero game. I think it would be ridiculously cool to do that. And I've said from the beginning, in my hopes and dreams, out of all the characters, either X-Men, of course, X-Men on Xbox, I've always said that, or my hopes and dreams to Spawn. I think Spawn is an underused character. Spawn makes a great video game character for a variety of reasons, and Spawn on Xbox would be gigantic. Those would be the ones I'd call out right there.
right on. I would like to see Darkness,
Yeah,
the first one.
yeah.
That would be my call out. Um, Dead Planet with a $5 super chat says Starfield seems to be missing a little personality to me.
Hmm.
Example: Fallout had a touch of silly fun with the Vault Boy thing. Do we get that with the robot? I don't know. I think that we either haven't seen any but 1
Yeah.
percentage of what Starfield has to offer. And
Correct.
like if you listen to some of Todd's interviews, he talks about a lot of stuff regarding like characters and storytelling and things like that. And you best believe there's going to be some silly fun here to be had.
Superfans coming back. They already confirmed Superfans coming back.
Yeah.
So listen, they're still going to have everything that they learned that people loved out of the old, whether it's Elder Scrolls, whether it's Fallout, that personality that you're talking about,
Mhm.
that is a key part of Bethesda titles, and they're not going to lose that in Starfield. I can guarantee you there's going to be so many memorable NPCs coming out of this game, just like Skyrim. Again, people still talk about some of the
Yeah.
companions, some of the NPCs you meet. That's going to happen here. That's a core part of their writing and their storytelling. So I definitely know, again, like Mav said, we've seen such a small, minute amount on purpose of what Starfield's going to get. And again, Todd does not like to spoil details. That's why he doesn't give out review copies ahead of time. That's why he doesn't. He might show off a whole section, but that section, again, when you get into a Bethesda game, is one little tiny piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Like again, that's why people discover months and months and even years later Easter eggs. They discover new places. They discover new NPC. It's crazy what comes out with these games, and it's going to be the same for Starfield, except even a bigger scope this time.
And I get the example of Vault Boy,
Yes.
but like that's
Yes.
also a big part of like the marketing with the logo and stuff and everything for that game, which has already been set as a precedent before anyway. So as far as Starfield, I kind of look at something like Elder Scrolls, right? Like you look at Elder Scrolls stuff and it's like, where is besides you see you get the feeling of the world and stuff, but you don't get any of those silly like fun personality type things from the trailers of those games or anything like that either.
Well,
You find them in the game, right? And then it becomes like, wow, this is crazy, right?
Right.
And the dialogue and the all that's just amazing. What I feel like they've been going for so far with the Starfield marketing, as far as like the direct to consumer type marketing instead of like the interviews and stuff like that, like is they want to set the mood of like the tone, as Todd says a lot, of the game with like the feeling of the music and the scenes. They're kind of they're setting us up to make us aware of the grand scale of this, right? Because this is about space. You know what I mean? This game's about space, and they're trying to give us that feeling of like wanting to explore space. And
Right.
that's what we're going to be able to do in Starfield. And maybe that's a big part of the personality of this game, is that exploration feeling, right? Taken to a grander scale than we've ever seen before in those games. So that was a good super chat, though. I appreciate the discussion on that. Moneybag97 with a $2 super chat says, "What about Singularity for a remake?" Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
God, I love Singularity.
Yeah, you can also do Prototype. Would be a good one to bring back. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes.
A lot of people out there want true crime.
Underrated.
Yeah, Singularity. I played some of Singularity. I don't know if I've finished it.
Oh, I beat that game. Oh my god, it's so freaking good. Oh my god, it's so good. But yeah, True Crime's my ultimate one. But we were kind of talking superhero Marvel stuff, so that's why I didn't bring it up again. But True Crime was the one I said from the beginning with ABK. They could literally have a first-party Grand Theft Auto-like game in True Crime. Like, how perfect is that? Like, that's like absolutely perfect. No matter what 2K decides to do, you could build your own franchise that's just like Grand Theft Auto. Use True Crime as the name. Take a different perspective, because that's what True Crime did. It was a different perspective from Grand Theft Auto. I'm not saying copy Grand Theft Auto, but you could make your own, like that type game, open world, crazy stories, all that good stuff with True Crime. My God, it'd be fantastic to have that.
Yeah. I also would like Gun to come back, because it might be like 20 years before we see Red Dead Redemption 3.
That's true.
And I feel like I want a good studio that has a lot of money behind them to make a big, good Western game now. And we'll see when that happens. We also got a $5 super chat just hit here from Brian. Silent Cypher, appreciate you as well.
What up, Silent?
They're setting us up to find Tom Cruise as the main character voice.
Remember those rumors floating around?
That was awesome. I forgot about that. Those rumors.
Yeah, remember that? That was awesome. Cruise in this movie. Did you get Lore Master?
For
19 months?
Yes, missed that one. Member for 19 months, Lore Master Jasper. Shout out to the realist. It says Hogwarts also has a last gen version. So Xbox Series X has 60. We'll see. I hope so, man. I hope so.
Do we know if that's still coming or not, or is that a permanent delay, Jasper? It sounds like a possible delay cancellation.
What y'all are seeing is an extension of our DMs come out into the forefront of the podcast, because there was a lot of Hogwarts Legacy DMs discussion going on a little while earlier. There's also a lot of Ubisoft discussions. There's also a lot of Xbox discussions too in our DMs, but we're gonna have a lot of fun stuff.
Should we discuss the fun speculation family DMs from yesterday?
Yeah,
that was a whole nother topic.
Well, I can guarantee you guys, if everything happens according to our DMs, you guys are gonna start seeing a different living split screen on Saturdays.
At least according to Caitlin.
Season 3 might get interesting on that show. Yeah. Kate posted a picture on Twitter, that I just like. I loved it when I saw it, because I know what she's doing, right? Yeah. And some people wanted to cancel her because of her picture. It was absolutely amazing. So we were having
if you don't know Caitlin, if you don't know Caitlin, you wouldn't understand it. And there was people who obviously don't know Caitlin, so they took it the wrong way. And there was like a whole thread of people like going, "This is ridiculous," blah blah. So our DMs, and then our DMs got derailed, and then it went completely sideways.
We were having they were having fun. I was driving and I couldn't like really partake in the DMs, but my phone just kept going ding 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 ding. I'm like, oh God, I wanna see what's going on right now. You know?
When that starts happening, the gifts are flying, because that's when the gifts start flying.
Yeah, the gifts.
We tell whole stories through gifts. It's amazing. I love our DMs. Anyways, side tangent, folks. But anyways, great way to start off the night. Really good super chats too, giving us something to talk about as well. I think that it's a discussion that we're going to continue to have through this as this generation goes. And again, it's not complaining. It's not talking bad about the consoles at all. It's not any of that. It's just a serious discussion as enthusiasts, as gamers who do now know the difference between 30 frames and 60 frames. And not everybody's that way. But some of us, and again, I go back and play 30 frame games, so I'm not even hardcore about it. But the fact that the option became available, we started playing with it. We started playing with those games that were available at 60 frames. We got the frame boost on some of the older games, and the difference that it made in those games Now it's kind of hard to say, well, I'm cool with going back to 30 frames. And all I was stating here for myself personally was, if this continues, then I will go get a PC. And like I said, I understand the limitations of $500 consoles. The deal is, though, the one thing that people always forget when they say, try to go build a PC for $500, PCs do a whole lot more than consoles do. PCs aren't just for gaming. And that's where some of the price reduction happens, because the components inside aren't the same as what you get in a PC, because a PC has to be able to do all these other things as well. So again, take off a little bit of that cost. All I'm saying, for a 1080 Ti right now, it wouldn't be a whole lot. We're not talking about $1,500 to build a gaming PC right now. That, according to Hogwarts, one game, Hogwarts will run at 1080 60. So that's all we're saying. We just want to have an open discussion. And again, not complaining at all. I knew what I got in the Series X. I'm happy with it and loving it. But if the third parties want to continue to do this, maybe I'll change for the first time ever in my life. So,
well, that'd be interesting. Hey, let's get to the sponsor real quick, Pong.
Yeah, do your sponsorship, man. Tell us how we can get smooth and sexy and all that good stuff, man.
Well, you can get smooth and sexy by going to manscaped.com, who is a sponsor of this show. Now, everybody, 2023 is here. So, hey, fellas, this episode of PM in the PM is brought to you by our favorite producers of ball trimmers, Manscaped. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming are leaving 2022 with brand new products. Persevere Cologne and Persevere Body Wash. 2023 is the year to up your hygiene game and smell amazing. And Manscaped wants to help you do so with this special offer. Use the code FUNSPECULATION for 20% off, plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Take the leap into the new year and join 7 million men who already trust Manscaped. Again, that's 20% off free shipping. Code FUNSPECULATION at manscaped.com. Use the code FUNSPECULATION. Happy New Year's to your balls, everybody. Yeah. I need to get some new. I need to get them to send me some new stuff, man. Like, I feel like we have so many shows and stuff. I feel like I've read each one of these like 3 times.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant actual like new product because you were using it so much. They got wearing out.
I'm excited for next week's show because I get to say something else, right?
Nice.
That I can't
talk about now. Right.
But we'll see. Yeah.
Awesome.
Fun speculation, everybody. Stay smooth.
Fun speculation. Code. Get out there. Make yourself sexy. Feel good. Get ready for spring when the weather starts warming up, depending on where you are in the world. And you won't sweat as much if you don't have hairy balls. So it's a good thing.
That's right. Ball deodorant.
Yeah,
it works.
The ball deodorant too. It does.
Yeah.
It does work. All right, Mav. Let's see. You know how we do. We usually like to get some of the bad news out of the way first on PM in the PM, so that we can get down to the good stuff. So I was thinking, Mav, we would start out tonight with some Yves Get 'em all.
Oh,
Ubisoft.
Boy, Yves. Oh, boy. Yves Get 'em all. Why you do this, Yves? Not again.
Fucking
Sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu.
Is that right?
I love it.
Sacre bleu. Yves, why you do this, Yves? Come on.
Oh, yes. For anybody who has not been paying attention this week, we've got trouble in Ubisoft. Skull and Bones was delayed again. This is literally the 6th time it has been delayed. 6 times.
6?
6, literally, Matt. 6 times. Yes. It has been delayed until fiscal year 2024, I guess it is. It said
it's early weird. 2023, 2024.
Right.
I was like,
it's fiscal year.
What do you mean early 2023, 2024?
Because their fiscal year runs from March to March or whatever the hell.
Got it.
Whatever. So March to February or whatever the hell it is. Anyways, so it has been delayed again. If you guys are curious, I've actually got they finally put out an official tweet on this too after the news broke today. They put out an official posting that said, important update for all of our aspiring captains. Today, we'd like to share an update regarding our release date as we made the decision to delay Skull and Bones a little more. Our determination and focus remain the same. Offer the best in-game experience possible to our players from day one. This extra time will help us in providing further polish and balancing to our game experience. Following your feedback from previous tests, we also have an array of exciting content coming up on our social channels and ready to be shared with you. Starting tomorrow with our latest episode of The Deck, bringing new and exclusive gameplay footage focused on our game's lore. Additional information regarding our new release date and upcoming tests phases will be shared with you all very soon. So be sure to stay tuned and follow the conversation. Thank you for your support, and stay tuned for more information. Mav, Skull and Bones. What are the odds, Mav, that this will be a free-to-play game by the time they're all said and done?
90% at this point. I mean,
honestly,
trying to convince people to spend $70 on that thing is going to be a tough task. Now, with that being said, like, maybe they're so desperate that they just got to get a quick cash influx, and they decided to do that also. But you know, the games that came out last year like didn't really hit too well. I don't know how Far Cry 6 sold. It probably did okay.
It did pretty well.
Riders Republic, I don't really see anybody talking about that or anything.
I won it from Major Nelson, my good friend. You're a good friend, I should say.
So the main thing here is Skull and Bones is an example of this, right? And we've actually gotten backlash from people in the community about our takes on Ubisoft at times. Some people on other podcasts also disagree very much, so that they're like, why criticize Ubisoft? And because they're fine, right? They jumped Far Cry and blah blah blah. And I was excited for that, but the problems I have had with Ubisoft was not the things that they had already been working on for a long time that they actually were releasing, right? It was all of these other announcements that they had started to make, right? Of things that they had been in development, and they were just all over the place. And this had come off the heels of Valhalla, which was a success commercially, right? Massive success, their first $1 billion game, right?
Yes. Assassin's Creed is in good shape right now.
And they kept shifting the focus a little bit more. And they I feel like Ubisoft got caught up in this trend of, instead of nurturing their franchises and doing what's best on them and letting the devs really let their creative juices flow and create what they want, they got caught up in this trend of, let's make the next Fortnite.
Right.
Let's make the next trendy thing that explodes and changes gaming forever. So what are we going to do? Let's do Hyperscape, right? Oh, that didn't work. Nobody liked that because it wasn't very good, right? So let's try it with another game. But maybe what we need to do is, maybe we'll try and use IPs that people are already familiar with and turn those into these kind of games, right? So let's announce a X Defiant, Ghost Recon Frontlines? Frontline. Let's announce a Heartland. Let's take this Tom Clancy verse and turn that into it. Maybe we'll get people in there, because Rainbow Six Siege has been working well for a long time, but we got to figure out what's next, right? They have no clear vision over like what they actually believe in or want to do, and I feel like they have so much talent at Ubisoft, amazing developers, and when the developers get a project that they believe in and they want to work on, and they do amazing things. My problem with Ubisoft has been the feeling, and this is from rumblings we've heard from people that have actually been maybe have had some associations with them.
We've talked to people with associations, previous associations, so we've gotten some inside feeling on what it's like.
Maybe all these games aren't necessarily what the devs actually want to work on, right? And this is more of like, hey, this is what we're doing, and let's make your version of that. And then you see all these like 4 or 5 announcements in the short period of like 6 months about all these things, and it's like, what is this? This is not Ubisoft. Like, these are not Clancy games. Then you have Skull and Bones like disappear left and right and come back, and we don't know what it is. And then they finally announced it at $70, and it's probably looks like a live service game, so you're gonna pay that and probably have to pay way more and other stuff if you really want to take full advantage of it. It's like, what direction are they going in? Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still somewhere. Who knows, in the ether somewhere? I don't know. But they just don't seem like they've had a clear direction, and I feel like they've lost the. And I'm not talking about the developers or even a lot of the high ups at a lot of the development studios. I'm talking about the executives that really at the heart,
the Guillermo family.
Yes,
they've lost it.
They at the heart of the matter dictate what direction a company goes in. Have lost the passion for games. I honestly feel that. The devs, I believe it's 100% there. A lot of the high ups at the dev studios, I 100% believe it's there. I feel like the executives at Ubisoft, it's all about one thing, and that has become money, and they've been chasing it in the wrong ways without putting back the passion. And I'll based on the comments that he made today, I think proves that.
I'll read those. Yeah, I'll read those to give more context. Let me pull up the story from VGC real quick. So Ubisoft CEO reportedly tells staff the onus is on them to reverse the company's fortune. Bro,
wow.
This is not. This is like the captain of the Titanic saying it's all your fault, passengers.
Yeah.
If you save the boat, you guys got to start bailing if you want to save this boat. That's what this is like. So quote, the ball is in your court to deliver this lineup on time and at the expected level of quality. This article goes on. Following weaker than expected software sales over the holiday season and a new delay for Skull and Bones, the company slashed its revenue forecast for its current fiscal year. It also canceled 3 unannounced games and said it plans to make some $200 million in cost cuts over the next 2 years through targeted restructuring, divesting some non-core assets, and usual natural attrition.
And this is after they took the big amount of money from Tencent as well, right?
Correct. Well, the Guillermo family took the money from Tencent.
Yeah, the Guillermos took the money.
Yeah, they gave up some of their shares, right? So Skull and Bones will now be releasing during Ubisoft's next fiscal year, which begins in April and runs to March. Okay, so it's April to March, April 2023 to March 2024. During this period, Ubisoft said it's also planning to release Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and other yet-to-be-announced premium games, including a large one, as well as promising free-to-play titles for some of its biggest brands. Like Skull and Bones, the Avatar game was planned for release in 2022 prior to a delay, and so too was Assassin's Creed Mirage, according to reports. In an email sent to employees on Wednesday and viewed by Kotaku, Ubisoft's CEO Yves Guillemot said these delays had weighed on our costs and decreased our associated revenues. Today, more than ever, I need your full energy and commitment to ensure we get back on the path to success, he wrote. I'm also asking that each of you be especially careful and strategic with your spending and initiatives to ensure we're being as efficient and lean as possible. Yo. You're basically telling, again, the talent is undeniable. You're in an industry where talent is at a premium. A premium. These people can go anywhere and get a job. And you're putting this on them. This is not a winning plan, folks. This is not. Guillermo also urged staff to deliver on what he called the biggest pipeline in Ubisoft history, writing, the ball is in your court to deliver this lineup on time and at the expected level of quality and show everyone what we are capable of achieving. Now it's we. Okay. Commenting on Ubisoft's financial update on Wednesday, ReedPop's head of games, B2B, Christopher Dring, claimed Ubisoft was suffering compared to other big publishers because of its lack of significant live service games to fill release gaps. The big issue for Ubisoft isn't its structure, not really. It's the fact that it doesn't have a live service game of any significance, he wrote. Look at the publishers worth billions. It's all about that one title that prints money continuously. GTA Online, FIFA, COD, Fortnite, etc. It means that Ubisoft is so reliant on having a good release schedule to drive performance. I think that's what it's trying to do with Assassin's Creed. That's why I think what it's trying to do with Assassin's Creed is the right play. Then I want to add this too, real quick too, Mav. Grubb had put out a couple tweets about this as well yesterday. Grubb, shout out to Jeffrey Grubb, of course, Giant Bomb. Ubisoft definitely already did the rounds proposing acquisitions and mergers with other similar companies, and it mostly got laughed at. It's just too unwieldy. Its strength was its distributed development structure, and now that is an albatross. He goes on to say, I hope it tries to ride it out because I think it might hold on to more people than if it tried to slim down for mergers and acquisition. Either way, though, it seems grim. Making games is a rough business. All right, Mav. So now we got the quotes from the supposed email that went out by Yves. What do you think, Mav? Blaming your talented devs for the mistakes of again, I agree with you to a certain degree. I don't think Yves has lost the passion for game making, but I think they've lost the vision. They've lost the knack, much like we've seen with other companies, Square Enix, EA for a time before obviously Respawn came on board and of course shifted the focus again. They've lost their way in this new industry and the industry changing, and they're looking over at EA and 2K because that's their comparable. That's the comparables when it comes to the type of publisher they are. They're actually bigger than both of them. But in terms of total number of employees, they're the biggest publisher in the world, I believe. They're like 20-some thousand, Mav. I think that was last count.
Yeah, it's like 20,000 plus.
20,000 plus worldwide employees. So you're talking about a company that just lost its way, and Yves and his family don't know how to navigate. They're terrible captains right now. Like back in the day, it was a lot easier. Now that things are changing, and now that you're looking over at your main brothers in arms in EA and 2K, and you're seeing this money just flowing in from all these different games, and you don't have one of those, now you start chasing, like you said, man. Now you start chasing the rainbow, hoping you're going to find that pot of gold. In the meantime, as we've seen in other places, you let some of your biggest IP flounder. You let some of your biggest IP go to waste. Sure, you still have your Far Cry. Sure, Assassin's Creed has been killing again. Assassin's Creed and that whole team that's working on Assassin's Creed, they've got it. They're set. They continue to pump out. Now, you can say, well, they keep getting bigger and bigger and it's too much. Yeah, they realize that. That's why we're getting a Mirage. That's why they said they're going to go to a smaller experience, big experience, smaller experience, bigger. That's what they're trying to get the pipeline to. And we saw that with their whole show that they did on Assassin's Creed Roadmap, which is fantastic. That's on point. But they let a lot of their other IP, like Splinter Cell, one of Mav and I's favorite IP of all time in Splinter Cell, and Sam Fisher, one of the biggest names in video games, up there with the Lara Crofts of the world at one point, go an entire generation without having a game. And we know it wasn't because the devs weren't trying to make Splinter Cell. We know that for a fact. It was because of management. So now you turn around, man, as the head, as the captain of this giant Titanic, and you look at everybody else and say, it's on you. Save us or we sink. Like, what?
Yeah.
What kind of leadership is this? What does that say to your crew, Mav? What do these comments say to you? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It says to me, how dare you let me lead you astray? Like, right. What? How dare you let me make bad decisions on what kind of games you should make? I mean, here's the thing. I've listened to plenty of interviews in the past, and like Yves has been on record in the past of saying, Well, we make all of our games open world because that's the kind of games that our developers want to make.
Right.
And then it came out, no, that's actually not true. They made those because those are the kind of games that players wanted to play at the time and made the most money. Then they reversed course on that. Well, now we want to make like free to play experiences, and they don't know how to do it, right? Like they're always trend chasing. Ubisoft is, and very formulaic, right? And it's either all in on one thing or another. Pretty much, they take something that works with one game and they say this worked with this game, people liked it, put it in every game, right? This worked with this thing. Let's try and figure out how to put this in every game. Of their most successful games, at least that's what they've tried to do. Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, see elements all over the place, right? Copying each other a lot of times. And then their decisions to avoid franchises was because they didn't understand how to make enough money off of those games, right? Well, you have other companies out there like EA, right, that have games like that are successful, but they also still come out with these other games like It Takes Two, right? Or, you have your yearly sports games that just milk everybody like crazy, but you also have other things like Jedi Survivor, right? And with Ubisoft still has some of these things. It's just like it seems like everything has to have a catch with them right now. It's like Avatar, is trying to take advantage of the big license and IP of Avatar, Star Wars, right? It's like, where's your heart of who Ubisoft was? Where is the passion that created Assassin's Creed, that created Splinter Cell, right? That created Rainbow Six, that created Ghost Recon, right? That created Rayman, like all of these things. Where is that? I don't think they have that anymore. When the easiest solutions are sometimes right in front of all of our eyes, through all of our faces, something we all easily can see, something we know we all want, something that people say is their most anticipated and wished for thing at every E3.
Correct.
And year by year, it's not there. A game finally gets announced, Skull and Bones. Wow, it's going to be like the Black Flag, but it's going to be, they're going all in on the pirate thing. Like, was it 6-7 years later, still delays and not knowing what this game is or how it's going to be or what the final release is going to look like, and beta testing is not good, and like you hear bad things about it. It's like, why couldn't you have just made done what we all asked for originally? Just like change it into a pirate thing, but pretty much make an Assassin's Creed thing, but just pirates. Look,
yeah,
that's just people just wanted a spinoff,
right?
It's been make the spinoff. It can turn into its own franchise. Like it's just the blatant, obvious stuff. It's just missed year after year, and it gets so frustrating with them because I love Ubisoft games. And one of my
they're
favorite,
my fast food.
yeah, it's like one of my favorite publishers, like the Clancy games, like Halo is at 1A, Splinter Cell's 1B. And we went through a whole damn generation without one game.
Right.
And it's still, we're 2 years into this one and nothing. But we got like 4 Assassin's Creed games announced. Is this what we want to see from Ubisoft, who's obviously, if anybody wants to defend them, it hasn't been working, obviously. No. Like,
look at their stock price.
For these reasons, it has not been working. So if it's not working, get back to what you do best and sell your damn games. Elden Ring was like, look what that did for Bandai Namco, right? It's because they really dug in deep into what the fans loved and expanded upon it. You have so many franchises you can do this with. Don't try and twist them and turn them into shit to shovel into people's mouths and hope that you can get them to get sucked into your money-making free-to-play scheme of monetization or whatever it is, because when you bastardize the brands that people love, they're going to turn on you and they ain't going to play that shit, right? All of these games that they've been working on, that they've been announcing, all these experiments that they've had, these big warehouse videos with graffiti on the walls, exciting documentary style. We're announcing this game and let's have these weird camera shots where we have to rotate and follow the camera all the time and talk to you about this new game we're going to make. All these games are getting either way delayed, shit on and insider testing, or canned. And how much cost is that wasting for Ubisoft?
Correct.
How much money is a failure like Hyperscape cost? Mm-hmm. Get back to what fans want. Make Ubisoft games. Let's go.
And then the problem being too, Mav, is that they've been with this squirrel mentality. Like,
yeah.
Squirrel. Yo.
Yeah, exactly.
Look here. Look. We're going to go here. No, we're going to go here. They totally miss out on what's in front. As you said, what's right in front of them, Mav. The Division, one of their top developers in Massive, who know exactly how to make a game. Now, the Division 1 didn't live up to the trailers. It was one of those fake trailer scenarios where they created expectations that were way beyond what the hardware at that time was going to be able to do. And yet the Division 1 still was a success. Then they go to Division 2 and they piss off their hardcore base with all these different changes. They don't listen to the community for a very long time. Their base starts dwindling. Division 2, I still loved it. It was my most played game. It was in my top most played games at Xbox Anniversary somehow, some way. I mean, I've probably got 500-600 hours, which is nothing. I mean, Fuzzy's got like 2,000 hours in Division 2 Plus. But they totally ignored that. And then the devs finally started listening to the community, started making changes. People started coming back to it a little bit. It started getting positive buzz again. More and more people were jumping back into the Division. A lot of the hardcore, yes, you're never going to make your hardcore completely happy. We know that. Any game is like that. You're never going to make changes and make everybody happy. But they did enough where the interest was back. And then it started to build again. And then they abandoned their entire roadmap except for the one piece that they were so close to finishing that they decided to put it out. So they put out the New York expansion. They put the game on sale. They put out the New York expansion, and guess what happens? Division 2 blows up. You and I, and the Fun Speculation family, are responsible for probably somewhere near 20-25 people buying that game and jumping back into it. Legit.
We got so sucked into that shit, man.
We got so sucked back into Division 2. The Division 2 now, compared to where it was when it launched, is such a different game, and it plays so well. Now, it's still got problems because they got a skeleton crew on it. And you could talk to Fuzzy about this. Fuzzy's been posting stuff lately because Fuzzy plays almost daily in Division 2. So does PTK Blam. They both play a ton of Division 2. Fuzzy is a hardcore Division person. He's one of those guys that's chasing meta builds all the damn time. The dude's got maxed out characters like you wouldn't believe. And there's still problems. He was stuck in New York and couldn't get back. Anyways, they put a skeleton crew on this, but they see this explosion of popularity, man. What do? Management takes notice and says, oh, you guys actually like Division 2? Okay, cool. Guess what? We're going to fire up the machines again. We're going to come back supporting Division 2. And that lasted for all of about 60, 90 days, Matt. And then, squirrel. They were off.
Yeah.
And they pull people off because they have Heartland. So you had a franchise in Division that now with the current hardware, you could finally live up to those original trailers. Massive is extremely talented team. I can't wait I can't wait to see their Star Wars game. I cannot wait to see any of what they're going to do is going to be fantastic. But they have this ultimate team, much like Respawn over at EA. They've got this team that could do any game. And they've got the perfect game that fits everything that they've been chasing. And yet now they committed to this Heartland vision of this free-to-play, games as a service style game. completely abandoning Division 2. Why not, as I've said multiple times in multiple shows, why not shift your development team on Heartland, make Heartland an expansion of Division 2, or, crazy as it sounds, maybe start developing Division 3 with Heartland as your centerpiece. Either way, but make it a full-fledged game again. Stop with this free-to-play nonsense. Come back to the basics, like Mav was just saying. Division is a well-loved franchise that you guys created from the ground up. It has great story. Even the Amazon show was a decent show at the time. And that was years ago, before everybody's quality of these transmedia IP got to the point it is now, where we get a lot of really great stuff out of transmedia. Video games going over to TV series or movies. The Division fits that. It's right in the Tom Clancy. They lost Tom Clancy's name so long ago. They bastardized his name so long ago. Yet the Division is still core Tom Clancy. And they had all of this. They had the shop in there. All the cosmetics were good-looking cosmetics. You wanted to have your agent look different while you're playing Division 2. Like, you've got the ingredients right in front of you. You like baked half the pie and then looked at it and said, nah, we don't think this is going to turn out. And you threw it.
Yep.
That's the problem with Ubisoft right now. Again, Assassin's Creed, still going great. They have a great roadmap. If they follow through, if they don't get hit with layoffs, if Ubisoft does not touch the Assassin's Creed team, I think that's your mainstay. That's your once every couple of years, the golden goose that shows up. People flock back to it again, especially now that they're going back and they're going to have an older style Assassin's Creed game and then go back to open world and then a smaller one again. Perfect setup. You've got Far Cry. Now, you've lost your way a little bit in Far Cry. People are getting exhausted of Far Cry. But that doesn't mean it's not still popular. That doesn't mean that you can't kind of reel it in a little bit. Refocus that team. Start thinking about the older Far Cries again. Maybe make a smaller Far Cry experience as well. Bring back those characters that everybody loved, like Voss. And I'm not saying bring him back from the dead, literally. I'm just I'm saying.
Well, they did in the last one. I mean, they
did.
Like they did. Like, expansion.
They had the boss expansion. Yeah, the boss's expansion or whatever the hell it was. But no, go back to that smaller type experience, but focus on the characters. Because again, Ubisoft, when they get down to business, some of their teams, some of the most talented teams in the entire world, even though they've lost a ton of talent, man, they are good. You've still got key franchises there. But stop doing this whole chase everything. Yes, you can try new ideas. But like Mav said, don't announce or start planning. What have they canceled, Mav, over the past year and a half?
It's been like eight games? Six or seven. Like
6 or 7
unannounced games.
Right.
What the hell were those? I don't know.
Right.
Like, I think did they cancel the VR stuff? Some VR stuff too.
They probably. Yeah, I think that was last year. They canceled that. Listen, you guys have one of the biggest. You have the biggest, I think, in terms of total number of devs in-house at one spot. Consolidate those teams. Focus in on a select group of IP. Maybe have 2 new games in development. 1 games as a service, 1 free-to-play game. Maybe do that. But then take all that other talent and focus in on the IP that you already have built up over the decades and decide what you're going to do with it and go for it. But stop chasing everything all the time.
Even better, find your best talented, most creative people that are good leaders. Make sure they're in charge of the teams and ask them what their teams want to make.
Right.
And a lot of them may say, well, we got this idea for Splinter Cell, right? A lot of them may say, well, we got this idea for Rainbow Six. A lot of them may say, we got this idea for Assassin's Creed or Far Cry or whatever. And let's see what they can make, right? Enough pigeonholing them into a formulaic approach of saying, well, it doesn't fit our model. It doesn't fit the direction of the games that we want to make right now because we can't figure out how to monetize it, right? When that's your primary goal. I understand you got to make money, right?
You do.
But you can make How much monetization is in Elden Ring?
Nothing until the DLC shows up.
How well did Elden Ring do for Bandai Namco this past year? Did it like pretty
fantastic.
much transform the company? Pretty much.
Of course.
You can make a successful game.
Yes.
That transcends, right? That goes on, that makes a huge impact without having to worry about, well, how are we gonna milk this, right? If milking the consumer for every dollar that you can get out of them with the gameplay schemes that you approach is your primary focus on the development of a game, it's not a very good approach, in my opinion. That's like mobile game stuff, right? That's like baby stuff. You know what I mean? Like the stuff they're trying to trick our kids into playing on iPhones. You know what I mean? Like, find out what your creators want to create. That's what their jobs are, right? Like, let's have at it. It's like
the game has to be good for you to monetize it. So that should be your number one key focus. If you're, again, monetization is going to be a part of any development right now in 2023. Mm-hmm. I get that. Okay. I get that 100%. Not every game has to be monetized, but I know it's going to be talked about. But let's first understand the core and make the core game good. Then you can start thinking about how we're going to monetize this thing. But if you just think about the monetization and then build a game around the monetization.
Yeah. No, that doesn't fit for our model. That doesn't fit for monetization. No, we can't do that because of this.
It's like Ghost Recon, Mav. Ghost Recon was a beloved franchise. Beloved. Now, did it have the biggest audience in the world? No, it didn't, because it was hardcore. Now, do I think that they could make the game less hardcore and make it more accessible for people? Of course. But you took the Ghost Recon game and turned it into a non-Ghost Recon game overnight and then said, why are people liking this? Well, brother, you came out with a game that was broken in Breakpoint where everybody took one shot at it and was like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, it launched completely. In a horrible state. Yeah.
Horrible state. Again, you didn't have your core game ready. You didn't have the basics down. You had the monetization in there. You had all the signs that you were going to be able to build this game out as a games as a service, but you forgot to make the core game good. And then you wonder why it's failing.
It's good now, but it was like late,
but
right?
It's still too late. Yeah. It's still too late. You have to put the priority else on the core game first before you start thinking about monetizing it, and just scale back. I understand, Ubisoft, that your games cost a lot of money. You have big giant teams working on big giant open worlds in a lot of these cases. Scale some of those back. There's nothing wrong with that. Like you're doing
not every game has to be like playable for 1,500 hours. You know what I mean? Like
no. And you can make, like Mav was saying, you can make a lot more money. I can guarantee you Mirage is going to sell extremely well. And I can guarantee you the budget for Mirage is a whole lot less than it was for Valhalla or Odyssey. I can guarantee you that. There's nowhere near the budget that they had. And they're going to sell a ton and probably make money. Now, is it going to have the biggest engagement numbers because it's going to be a shorter experience? Well, no, it's not going to compare to Valhalla and Odyssey because people aren't dropping 80, 100, 200, 300 hours into your game. But you're going to have more people play through your game because it's a smaller experience. There's balance in everything, folks.
It also, you have to, like, for them, you have to understand the risk of damaging your brands that you've built up.
Yeah.
Like, Assassin's Creed, I think, is going to be fine. It seems like they know what they're doing with that. I like that path for those teams, right? But when you go and you like play around so much with different things, and you're not really just letting the core essence of what these franchises mean to people shine through, and you bastardize them and stuff, or you take like a decade between releases or more, that can be damaging to the brand. And actually, like, you know how many people like don't even know what Splinter Cell is now?
Don't know who Sam Fisher is?
Don't know the name Sam Fisher, right? That was like, it was like Solid Snake and Sam Fisher, right? It was like, do you like Splinter Cell? Do you like Metal Gear, right? now it's like, what for a lot of people it's like, some of the Splinter Cell games are okay, I guess, you know. Man, there was on the original Xbox, those games were iconic, right? There was some really good 360 games. They started doing some different stuff too as well. But now I feel like they've done damage to the brand. And then when Splinter Cell reboot comes out, I'm hoping, because we went like 10 years, and honestly, people were like, that was the number one request at E3, right? Like, are we gonna get a new Splinter Cell? We're gonna get a new Splinter Cell at every Ubisoft show, Ubisoft Forward, whatever. Is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? 2 years ago, everybody was thinking there was gonna be a Splinter Cell announcement, or maybe it was more like 3 years ago, because there was like, all of those Walmart leaks came true except for the Splinter Cell thing, right? And they're like, still nothing. So then the next year's the year, nope, still nothing. Then the next year's the year, nope, still nothing, right? Then we finally got last year an announcement, but in a fucking blog? In a fucking blog post? You're just going to go on your fucking blog post and announce the new Splinter Cell game? You're rebooting the franchise? You're remaking it in a fucking blog? What are you thinking? You have all these shows. You can do like all the goggle moment. Like, what the? You're fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Like, how can you not take advantage of the number one thing? Like, every time there's Ubisoft thing happening, like Splinter Cell was trending, right? Like, how can you be that ignorant, right? To not run with that. You fucking announce it on a blog post. Guess what? You know how many people don't even know that fucking reboot exists?
There's still people today that are going, crazy. Wait, Splinter Cell's coming back?
Yes, it's coming back. We hope. At least I don't trust anything.
Right.
Now,
the good news is it was announced. So they said unannounced games canceled. So I think Splinter Cell's in the clear. But it's almost like Splinter Cell was like finally the devs bugged management enough where they're like, fine, go make your fucking Splinter Cell game. Fine, just go over there and make your little Splinter Cell game, not expecting anything out of it, right? And they're going to treat it that way, which is sad. Which is sad.
Which I hope it kills. Dev team I hope it kills and they learn their lesson.
Yes. Right.
Right. That's what it'll take. It'll take something that catches them off. Oh, what did we make that was like really successful out of the blue? You know what I mean?
Just like Star Wars. Just like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for EA. It's the same damn scenario. Without Vince's power, without Vince's influence, EA would never have greenlit Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But Vince had already proven himself, and they greenlit it. And then all of a sudden, it was this huge success for EA. And all of a sudden, EA is like, wait, people like single-player games still? Well, this is new to us. I thought everybody was playing multiplayer.
Yeah.
No, that's not how the industry is divided up, folks. So you're right, man. Hopefully Splinter Cell absolutely crushes it. You know, you and I are going to be doing free promotions for Splinter Cell because we've been waiting on this. But hopefully it wakes Ubisoft up because that's what they need right now. So they do need a wake-up call.
The more I think about it, man, it pisses me off. How can they not announce that in a different way other than a blog post? It's so crazy to me. I'm sorry for ranting about this, but I think I've just realized how asinine that is. To have the big produced video for X Defiant,
right?
that was out there that they had to go like rent this abandoned warehouse for, and all the cameras, people you have to have there, all the like scripted bullshit they had there, and you can't even like give us like a little like 3 second teaser with just the goggles sound,
right?
You know what I mean? It's like what's going on?
I agree.
This is why Ubisoft is in the position that they're in right now.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. Great discussion there, Mav. So, let's see here. Let's do some shout outs real quick. I didn't do shout outs.
We got we got a couple more super chats.
Yeah, why don't you grab the super chats and I'll do the shout outs after you do the super chats.
Polly Baba with a $2 super chat said, could Microsoft use the cloud and Starfield like Flight Sim? I don't know. They have some kind of, I think didn't Todd allude to some kind of technology they're doing for procedural generation of the planets?
Yeah, that was a program. It was a new program that they wrote.
Maybe the cloud for like just the space, but I Like just, but I don't know how much.
I don't know if Cloud's ready to go. Like,
Yeah,
Flight Sim is very specific on what they use it for because it's transferring real world data from maps, right? It's transferring real world live data, and it's very specific, and it was set up that way from the beginning. I think Starfield, again, down the road, maybe after Kojima proves that cloud gaming is viable and can be done on a big grand scale, then we might see some more developers looking at cloud gaming in the future for some of their programming and eventually all games being made in the cloud. I think that's eventually going to happen at some point down the road, way in the future. But I don't think we're quite there yet. But interesting thought. I like it.
Also, Splendiferous hit us with a $2 super chat that said, wait, so it's not only Xbox games that got delayed? No, it was not only Xbox games that got delayed. In fact, 2022 was pretty strong for PlayStation because a lot of those games are supposed to be 2021 games, right? Xbox had that happen last year, and now Xbox is going to reap the benefits this year. So it just kind of goes with the
only difference was that Xbox had nothing else first party wise, and that's why it was so glaring. Whereas Sony, when they delayed games, they still had games coming out. Maybe not the second half. They ignored the second half, but that was normal for them. So people passed over it and said, "Yeah, whatever. We know the games are coming next year." Whereas Xbox was zero. So that was why it just got so much more attention than anybody else does.
Yeah.
You got any more super chats?
That's it.
Okay. Shut up. Shout out
time. We should do a song. What's up? Infinite Umbra, Splendiferous, Shangy. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, that'd be crazy.
123 people hanging out.
Don't want me singing 123 names, okay? All right, let's get down to it.
123 bottles of beer on the wall.
Brother Psychonauts is in the house, of course. Guardian Black, always great to see you in our chat. Talos Ray hitting us up. What's going on, Talos? Infinite Umbra. What's going on? He claims to have one of the greatest voices in podcasting. I don't know about all that, but whatever, Umbra. Splendiferous is in the house talking his talk in there. Shane G, what's going on, brother? AGH, how you doing? Great to have you in here. God Emperor Sofa King. Caitlin, the beautiful Miss Caitlin is in the house. Another great thumbnail this week. Caitlin, thank you for tweeting it out. You're always behind the scenes making these shows go, so thank you so much. And our DMs yesterday were amazing. All right, and then we got Wilfrey Rosario always dropping in here. Imagine how dope it would have been if they made a sneak peek trailer of Splinter Cell, but a blog post is like they didn't care. Exactly, Wilfrey, exactly. Eternal should die. What is going on, Eternal? Great to have you in here. Nix is in the house. What's going on, Nix? Great to see you, brother, in the chat. Who else we got in here? We got Sin. Sin's always dropping in here saying what's going on. We got It's Timmy. It's Timmy's in here. What's going on? It's Timmy. Great to see you. Calarie. What's going on, Calarie? Great to have you in here. What's going on with Ray Oid? Ray Oid always dropping in with the support. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Ham Solo, TSWS Gaming. Brother Ham Solo, go check out his channel. Always doing great interviews. He is working up the subscriber chain. Ham is a great dude. Follow him on Twitter and go check out his work on YouTube as well, please. General Spartan 27, always in here as well, making the chat flow. What's going on, General? Siki is in the house. Siki, look at EA. Evilest company learn their lesson too. Yes, Siki, EA at one time was going down the same dark road Ubisoft is right now. You are correct, sir. RDM, what's going on, Artie? I think giving a break for a franchise is very important. Cannot keep releasing the same franchise every 1 to 2 years and expect customers to keep buying. It's very true. Burnout does happen, Artie, at points, except for Call of Duty. That's the only one that can get away with it sometimes. Marlesco's in the house. What's going on? Sappho, great to see you. Sappho says, I want Assassin's Creed based in the 1950 through 1970 Cuban Missile Crisis and JFK assassination. Yo, as a conspiracy guy, I'm down, Sappho. That would be deep because if there's one thing, again, Assassin's Creed team is amazing. And their dedication to research in history is second to none when it comes to video games. I love them. That would be something else to explore right there. I love it. Who else we got in here? We got Lewis Jose dropping in here. Ubisoft is just using the Tom Clancy name. You are correct, sir. They bastardized it long ago. It no longer means what it once meant. Legion 11512. Great to have you on here, sir, in the chat. Who else we got here? We got Fonz Gaming. Fonz dropped in here. Hey, Fonz, shadow dropping into the chat. What's going on, Fonz? Great to have you, brother. Go check out Fonz Gaming. Of course, you on his YouTube as well as RDX every week. Fonz is second to none in his voice work, and his Starfield trailer that he does is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, freaking amazing.
Starfield.
Exactly. He is so good at that. Axel 1324 Gaming. What's going on, Axel? Great to have you in here. We got Harry Balzac. I said that properly. Nice name, Harry. Great to have you in here as well. Lore Master Jasper, of course, is hanging out here with us. Who else we got in the house tonight? I'm going through. God, you guys have been talking a lot. Deccaddo, what's going on, Deccaddo? Great to have you in here. Captain Destruction 93, what is going on? Great to have you in here. We got who else? Have I missed anybody else back here? RWK88, always blessing us with the presence. Thank you so much, RWK. Outbreak Gamers. That's right. Outbreak Gamers. Dave, what's going on, Dave? Great interviews, continues to get some of the best in the community. Go check out his YouTube channel as well. Great interviews. ATL's in the house. ATL, one of the old school people that I hung out with in chats when I first jumped into this community. ATL I've been seeing for a long time. Fahim Scott, what's going on, Fahim? Always good to have you in the chat, sir. You bring a different perspective every show that you show up into. Masshole 1977 is in here. Charlie Hustle is on board with the PM in the PM chat. Of course, Silent Cypher in here. Brian, what's going on, brother? Great to have you drop on in here as well. Mr. Joanna Dark, the Nintendo super fan. That's right, everybody. If you want to talk some smack about Nintendo, please hit Mr. Joanna Dark up. He's always good for it. Who else we got in here as well? Who am I missing? Jigga J. Jigga J. It wouldn't be a show without Jigga J. What's going on, brother? Great to have you dropping in here. Def Leppard is in the house as well. Vik The CLiCK, of course, either working or drinking, one of the two. That's what Vix does, so he's in here. Stuffed Sean, what's going on, brother? Great to have you, Stuffed. Who else? I missed anybody else? Patman Jones Effect is in here. Tom from Toonami, great member of this community and a fun speculator member as well. Great to have you in here, Tom. Thank you for all the DMs, brother, with the information that you send. Always good time talking to you. Weldon Cluck. Weldon Cluck. What's going on, Weldon? Great to have you in here, brother. Who else? K Asante dropped in here. The great one, K Asante. The newly minted 1K subs over on YouTube. Again, congratulations, K Asante. And of course, Everborn of the Gaming Circle podcast every Saturday that goes prime time against myself and my brother from the Steel Rain, but we love those dudes over there. So shout out to you guys as well. R Rob is in here. Jay is in here. We got OCD Gamer back in here. We got Apex in here. And that's as far as my chat's going to go, folks. Read off a lot of names.
Awesome people.
A lot of awesome people in there. Oh, Dirk Gritty. Dirk Gritty ain't dirt. What's going on, brother? Of course, from We Bleed Green podcast. What's going on, Dirk? Great to see you. Who else we got Sauron Grant dropped in here too. Il Ray Tito dropping in here. David Cohen. Tony Glasso, of course, is in here. The C Unit. Chris Jones from Iron Lords. You got to go over there and check out his articles on Lognet. Amazing work over there. Go check that out. Poisoned Maniac. Big supporter on Twitter. What's going on, Poison? Great to have you in here as well. Now, I think I'm caught up, Matt. So where should we go next? Let's see here. Should we jump into the big one? We have already been going for like an hour and 20.
Yeah, let's get to the big kahuna.
The big kahuna. All right, let's get to the big kahuna. Mav, we're gonna take a little victory lap too while we talk to you. I've been saving this one, bro.
Yeah, I know you have. I'll let you run with this.
Yeah, you did. You did a nice video earlier in the week when this popped up and the announcement. So you did a nice job with that as well.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna try and do that more when I can. It's just like it's hard to find the time
with your work schedule and stuff. It's crazy. So this week, as most people who are on Twitter will be aware of, if you're paying attention to the gaming news, we got the official announcement of the Xbox Bethesda Dev Direct is what they're calling it, right? Developer Direct. That was rumored. Shout out to Jez Corden, who had the early scoop on this and wrote up about it. And he was spot on with all of his information. Trying to find.
As he usually is.
As he usually is. Yes, he is very good at this. Bethesda, both Bethesda and Xbox put out the tweet basically at the same time and said, join us for the Developer Direct presented by Xbox and Bethesda, featuring major updates from Minecraft Legends, Redfall, Forza Motorsport, and the Elder Scrolls Online. And of course, the one that was missing, the one that everybody knows that I'm waiting on, of course, was Starfield. We had a lot of talk on Starfield. Bethesda followed that up with a tweet right after saying, to dedicate the proper amount of time for a deep dive into Starfield, a standalone show is in the works. We got some additional information. Clobriel kind of broke it down a little bit from the article, saying a new approach to this with no hosts. This is some of the stuff that we talked about. No hosts. It is going to be led by the devs themselves, talking about their games that they're showing, extended gameplay and hearing directly from the dev teams. Redfall, several minutes of gameplay, learn more about combat customization, bosses, the open world, and more. Forza Motorsport gameplay plus details. Then we also know that we're going to get a look at Minecraft Legends with gameplay and an exploration of kind of what goes into that gameplay, because a lot of people are still confused about what that game's going to be. And then we're going to get a little bit of the new Elder Scrolls Online roadmap, including a brand new exciting feature. And can I put the side note in real quick, Mav? What if, Mav? We talked about this with Insane Cakes when Insane Cakes was on, because he worked for Elder Scrolls Online. He could say anything, right?
Yeah, you can tell he had a good feel. Yeah, he had.
Do you remember what my suggestion box? I asked them to put it in the suggestion box. What if this brand new feature, this exciting feature that they're bringing, is that you can transfer your characters between servers for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox? If I can go get my old ESO character from PlayStation and move it to Xbox, I will be back on ESO. I wonder if that's the new feature, but they're going to show us a new roadmap. They got new expansions coming, including this exciting feature, whatever this exciting feature is. They're going to be short because right after the showcase, we got the announcement from the Elder Scrolls Online, who actually kind of broke this news themselves when they kind of put out a post saying, hey, join us after this show, the Developer Direct, and we're going to have an ESO global reveal event. And they kind of showed, Mav, at that point that this Developer Direct was going to be 45 minutes long because they posted the time frames. So we can expect somewhere around 45 minutes, Developer Direct. Mav, let me take my victory lap real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get you
go run around and do a few of them.
Yeah, I got to do a victory lap. I don't do these often, folks. It is what it is. We're a bunch of talking heads. We're no different than editorials and newspapers or newscasts. We don't come on these shows and claim to be experts of anything. We don't claim to work for these companies outside of 3-Bit, who actually does. We don't come with any sorts of anything outside of, hey, we've been gaming for a long time. We've been following gaming news for a long time, not just the games themselves, but the actual industry. And we have opinions about what's going on. And there's a section of this community on all sides. It doesn't matter where they fall on what their favorite platform is, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. There's a part of this community that hate when we give our opinions on certain topics. They try to shut us down. They try to curtail conversations they don't want to hear, which again, if you don't want to hear it, I totally understand. If you don't like the sound of my voice, totally get it. Don't say you have to. If you don't like my opinion or Mav's opinion, that's cool. You don't have to spend your time in our shows. There's thousands of other shows out there. If it's one topic that you don't like, you can walk away, come back, put us on mute, whatever you want to do. But we do have opinions about topics. And one opinion, Mav, that we started talking about actually 2 years ago. People were listening to us, not on this show, but elsewhere on Xbox Ultimate, on Boom Show, on Xbox Factor podcast. Right after the ZeniMax acquisition was announced, even before it was approved, before the round table, before all of that. When they announced the acquisition, we started talking about the amount of content that Xbox is going to have underneath their umbrella. We started talking about, listen, they are now getting to the point with this number of studios and with this many games. And this was before we even knew all the projects they had in the works. This is way back, folks. We had started having those marketing conversations. And I don't know why people get so upset at the marketing conversations. I don't understand it. I never claimed to have a degree in marketing. I've never claimed to be an expert in marketing. But I've been following this industry and been advertised to for over 40 years. I've been at companies where I've been in marketing meetings. I understand basics of advertising. And all I give you is my opinion on what Xbox should do. That's all Mav does. That's all any of us do. Our opinion. But we started talking about this, Mav. What if they need to look at how they present their games and they need to add more shows? And boy, oh boy, again, not everybody, but a lot of people in this community are like, what are you talking about? Xbox got their own YouTube channel. They get watches all the time. They got Xbox Wire. They do some of the biggest shows out there. Sony doesn't show up at E3 anymore. Nintendo doesn't show up at E3, but Xbox is there. They're fine. They don't need to do anything anymore. Why are you guys talking about this? Been personally attacked in chat. Been told, know nothing. You're an idiot. So I'm going to take my victory lap, folks, real quick. And then we'll get on. We'll get on and actually discuss this Dev Direct. Well, guess what? For all of you that were wondering why we talk about this stuff, and I'm not saying that we directly influence these people. Boom's having a good time. Boom's saying that they listen to his show, and they did this because of Boom's show. Hey, Boom, shout out to you, brother. I love you. I love you. Boom's running with that. I'm not running with that. But what I'm going to say is that when you pay attention to an industry, as long as some of us have, and you actually read, probably if you took a study of all the gamers out there, we are well into the top 1% of people who ingest gaming news on a regular basis.
And a lot of the chat is too. Yeah. Like a lot of the people
chat
that are
is
here,
too. Absolutely.
This is what this community is based around, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And that's why we're here, because we're passionate about it, because we take this more than just, hey, I game. Yeah. I only care about the games. This is a hobby that we're all interested in. But this is why we talk about this. This is why we put out our criticisms in public. None of us hide our faces on almost all the shows that I'm on now. The shop's the only one that we don't have our faces attached to it. Don't hide from anybody. I don't come at you and say you're wrong for not believing what I'm saying. None of that shit. This is an opinion-based type of conversation. And our opinions were that Microsoft needed to do their marketing better, and that they needed to maybe think about a Nintendo Direct or State of Play style show, and maybe have 1, 2, 3 of those a year on top of the big showcase. But this is why we have those conversations, because obviously, even though we're not in the Xbox boardroom, even though we're not running billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies, you can still have a basic understanding of what's going on. And guess what? Our basic understanding aligned with Microsoft and Xbox, because guess what they are doing now? Exactly what we were talking about nearly 2 years ago, or over 2 years ago at this point. Going to add more shows to spotlight how many games they have. These games, this content, third party, second party, first party, it doesn't matter what it is, Game Pass. They have so much coming into this year and it's into the future now, because this is the start of the avalanche. They have so much that they had to find a new way to showcase it, to give it the proper due that it deserves. Just like what Nintendo does with their Directs, just like Sony does with their State of Plays. Give it the proper respect. Show it off. Let the world know that this is what you got coming. Make a show, just like Directs, just like State of Plays, that everybody starts, little light bulbs go off as soon as one of these is announced, and like, oh shit, I got to mark that date down. Xbox is about to show off some stuff. I got to go check this out. That's what you want. Yes, they have the E3 showcase. Yes, that's fantastic. Yes, I've said on all the shows, I wish Sony and Nintendo would come back. I think it's bullshit that they're not at E3 anymore. And I think that they are doing gaming industry a disservice by not being at the biggest show for gamers of all time. So I have said that publicly as well. But for Xbox, I want them to have that constant marketing that the others do where people can't stop talking about their shows and that each game gets that special spotlight, especially your big ones, especially your third-party partners who are making exclusive, timed or otherwise, games for you, especially those big Game Pass games coming in that everybody should know about. How many people outside of this community know that Wolong, Atomic Heart, Stalker 2, Monster Hunter Rise, Persona 3, Persona 4 Golden are all coming into Game Pass in the first half of the year? Stalker 2, maybe not, but you guys get what I'm saying. How many people outside of this community know that? Not too many. You start having a show like this that you can start showcasing things, that you can start getting people interested, where people maybe even outside of the Xbox ecosystem show up to say, hey, what's Xbox going on? Xbox has got a lot of games coming. I need to go find out what Xbox has got coming up here. This is how you do it. These little shows in between. So again, this is why we have the big conversations. This is why on Xbox Ultimate a few weeks ago, we spent an hour and a half on marketing talk. No other show did that. No other show did that. Marketing. But this is why we have those conversations. And this is why I hate the people that try to shut down conversations. Again, if it's a conversation you don't want to hear, I don't expect you to listen to it. I don't care. I turn off plenty of shows. I don't even go listen to a lot of shows because I don't want to hear the conversation. I have zero problem with that. But for us, we like to have these conversations because sometimes we like to look into the crystal ball. We like to speculate. We like to look at things and criticize things that we think these companies can do better and praise them for the things that we think they're killing it on. We do both here, and we do both on all of our shows. So that's why we did this. I had to take my victory lap because this is huge. Something, again, we've been talking about on shows for 2 years. Yeah. You can go back. You can go back. Know for a fact, multiple conversations on Boom shows, Xbox Factor, back 2 years ago after the ZeniMax deal about how they were going to do this exact same thing. Then we saw the hiring map. Then we saw the hiring last year into this year for these marketing positions. And then they showed off their brand new kind of, their studio that they have there now. And we started going, I wonder what Xbox is doing. Then we get to the Game Awards, Mav. No show. We went through that. We said, what are you doing, Xbox? What did I say after that show when we were watching it live? I said, this is not good. Xbox should be at the Game Awards. However, if they plan on having one of their own shows coming up in January or February, then I can understand why they didn't go to this. And then here we are. Now we got the official launch date of the Developer Direct. January 25th. That's right. A couple weeks. We are getting a showcase with all the aforementioned games that I said. And they're going to deep dive. So Mav, after you heard this announcement, you kind of broke it down in your own video. I know you talked about it even today, I think with Boom too on Xvlog as well.
Yeah.
A little bit. What stood out to you? Number one, what are you looking forward to most out of this? Number two, what's your thoughts on the Starfield not being there? And then number three is, do you think that they have anything else at this show? Because we think it's going to run somewhere around 45 minutes, right?
Right.
And we think that
4 games going to be there.
Yeah. Yep, 4 games for sure that we know of are going to be there. 45 minutes, that's over 10 minutes each. Do you think something else is going to sneak in there? Do you think they might have a couple? Because they left it a little bit open. They didn't say, hey, we're only showing these games. And they said, and more, right? And now I know a German version of the release came out that was translated that said for sure that we're getting release dates on Redfall, on Forza, and on Minecraft Legends. Take that with a grain of salt, but some German site had it where it was actually in the translation that they're going to give us release dates, which was another big thing we talked about. So go ahead, Mav. What stood out? What's your feelings about the Starfield announcement? And do you think something else slips into this show at all?
Yeah, like we said, when Jez broke it, if Starfield isn't at this thing, then they needed to get in front of that. They needed to say something, right? Which they already did. So that's great. And they said the reasoning is because it deserves its own floor, right? It deserves its own deep dive to where they can really get into it because of how big of a game it is, right? So I think this is a huge deal. Now I'm curious what this show is going to be like, right? Is this going to be something we're like, yes, that was amazing, and I can't wait to see the next one? Or is it going to be like something where like it's for us to geek out on the details, right? Or is it just going to be a bunch of people sitting there talking, right? And not really giving us anything beyond that as well, you know? So it could be, my thinking is it's a mixture of all three of those things, right?
Right.
It is some people sitting down talking, and then they do show us those, oh, wow moments, right? And then also maybe little surprises here and there, right? I don't expect this to be like an E3 thing, right? But there's plenty of state of plays. There's plenty of Nintendo Directs that bring a lot of hype, right? And the thing that Aaron Greenberg said on Twitter had me intrigued because he said games coming out in the next few months.
Correct.
Right? And then the German translation said that we're going to get release dates for 3 of those games, right? For the Minecraft Legends, Forza Motorsport, and Redfall as well. So, which makes me really excited about this first half of the year for Xbox because it seems like they're on track right now. If we're just looking at all this, so we get these deep dives. One thing I'm excited about is I want to know more about what Minecraft Legends is, right? And then I can't wait to see more of Redfall. I'm already sold on Redfall. Like I'm ready for it to come out. I want to play it. I want to play with you guys. I'm more curious about the ins and outs of like the details of it. Like maybe they show more of the abilities or skills and stuff like that, so I can start thinking more about like how am I gonna play it, right? And then with Forza, that's my big thing here because we haven't seen much of it at all. Right? We've seen a trailer at E3, right? And that's it.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I know they've talked about it here and there, but to get a deep dive on Forza Motorsport with a release date within the next few months, Aaron Greenberg's tweets saying, right? So, yes, let's go. I'm pumped for that. And that's going to be the main thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm ready for this Forza stuff now, right? Now, the Starfield show, they said it's already in the works, right? So for me, that means sooner than later. I don't think a Starfield special show around like July would be in the works right now.
No.
I don't think there's a chance in hell of that, right? Honestly. No. So I'm thinking in the next couple months, there's going to be a Starfield show. Now, we got this announcement, like 2 weeks roughly before the show. Okay. So what I'm thinking is 2 weeks before the Starfield thing, we'll get an announcement of that if they do like a big announcement of it, right? So I'm thinking maybe like a few weeks, maybe a month before release, tops of Starfield. And that'll be like the last big hurrah. And then we see the marketing really kick in everywhere for Starfield, right? And the question is, when is that? And I don't know. I like have two minds, right? I see that people talking in the chat about Maddie Plays has like sources that are saying Starfield's moved out to summer, like late summer, maybe past E3, something like that. I'm still riding this train that the reason that it's actually separated from this show is because they're planning on the other show, which is going to be leading up to the launch of the game. Correct. So my hope now, maybe he has sources or whatever, so maybe he's right. I don't know. I'm just saying what my hope is, that Starfield is first, and that's why they're separating out into its own thing, so that way they can bring the full breadth of time and attention they want to spend to it, so they don't make this a Starfield show and these other games are overshadowed by Starfield, right? Because if you have Starfield here and then Starfield's like the first one, like all everybody's going to be talking about is Starfield, right? But now let's say like you talk about Redfall, you talk about Forza Motorsport, you talk about Minecraft Legends, right? You talk about the Elder Scrolls Online stuff. maybe some other little things, that tidbits or something they have to like surprises or whatever. Maybe like a GoldenEye release date or something like that, or or maybe that Tango GameWorks thing that Jeff Grubb had rumored before potentially. But you bring the attention to those games, right? Maybe a sizzle reel for your Game Pass games this coming next few months as well, and that lets them breathe, and everybody's like, "Oh wow, this is awesome! This is awesome! This is awesome!" And that way, the entire conversation at Starfield. Now you get the Starfield thing closer to that launch, and then we all have in the back of our minds, "Oh, we remember that Redfall, Forza Motorsport show that we saw. Minecraft, that one was amazing. Those games are coming too." So you're setting yourself up for a good, like a good 1, 2, 3 punch, good marketing decisions in that case, right? Um, and I that's what I'm hoping for. I think this show could be really good. It sounds like it's about the right length as well for something like this that I would want to see. I don't want to sit down and listen for 3 hours of people sitting, and talking back and forth unless it's like really good stuff. So, man, I can't wait to see what it is. It's going to be whatever it is. I think is, and they're going to learn from this. Like they'll do it, and they'll look at the response and see what people like, what they didn't like.
Yes.
But this could set up, if it works right with their marketing and stuff. This could set up a new standard for kind of what to expect going forward with game releases and how they're going to market them leading up to launch.
Correct. It's a huge move.
Yeah, it is.
Man, this is a big difference maker for Xbox. Again, they have to pull it off. They have to show that it works. But this is exactly what we talked about. Get the talking heads out of the way. Okay, there's enough talking heads at other shows. We don't need that for this style of show. Let the devs themselves talk about the games and what they're showing off and what the gameplay is going to be like. I think it's fantastic. I think this is the perfect way to do it. And like you said, whether they tweak this format or not, I think that this was their plans all along. Again, the hirings that they did that we talked about, they hired some of the biggest people from IGN who did some of their video work and all that kind of stuff. They brought in people who know what the hell it means to create one of these. And I think that this is the way that Xbox going forward, along with the big showcase, they might even go back to the Game Awards next year. It's in some capacity if this all works out. I think this year, part of the reason I think still was the ABK deal. They had to give Jeff stuff way in advance. They weren't ready to do that. All that kind of stuff. I still believe that, but I think that they, in their back pocket, they knew they were going to start this year with a smaller show and that this was going to be the way forward. Because I think they keep the 12-month plan in place for the big showcase E3 show. And I think that they do that going forward. And this works if they do it this way. If they have 2 to 3 of these a year in between outside of the E3, then you've got like Gamescom in there, then you got the Tokyo Game Show, then you maybe got a sprinkle in the Game Awards. That's going to cover all of your games that you have coming up in short periods of time. It's a perfect way to do this. Game Awards, maybe you go back to the Game Awards and you do the, hey, let's sell them some hope. Let's show off a Fable. That's a couple years away yet at the Game Awards, right? Maybe you go back to that style. But I think that this show is going to say a lot about Xbox's marketing direction. And it's like I said, they can sculpt this show the right way, this developer direct the right way, where they give people a reason to keep coming to these things. That's exactly what you want. And I think that this is going to be the way to do it. As far as Starfield goes, I've said it here and I'll say it again. And again, if you can't delay again. Okay? Now I say that before everybody blows up in the chat. Those of you, you know who you are, before you blow up at me for saying that. Understand that if it's flat out, the game will be broken if we drop it anytime before the fall of 2023. So we have to delay it again. Absolutely freaking delay the game. Okay? I'm not saying I want a broken game to come out. No Bethesda title is going to be perfect. Understand this. They could polish this for the next 4 years and there'd still be bugs in this game. Okay? That's just what Bethesda games are. I'm saying that Microsoft and Xbox at this point have to start keeping their commitments to their customers when they say something. Again, not at the destruction of a franchise, not at the absolutely, we're just going to drop a broken game because that will do more damage than anything else. Okay. I'm not saying that. But if what Todd said was true, and last year they were already in the polishing phase, and they were so confident that they actually put a date into a trailer that said 11/11/2022. They were that confident. And then Todd said, we took a look at things realistically. We knew we weren't going to make that mark. How big of a delay from 11/11/2022 do you actually need? If you were that confident, but then you got to the showcase time and you're like, not going to be able to squeeze it in. We got to delay this thing. So you delay it. You telling me you need more than a year from the showcase? You telling me you looked at your game, honestly, you thought you were going to hit 11/11/22, but we need more. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that this game is ready to rock and roll. If the word, I know Maddie Plays probably does, like you said, Mav, have good connections that we obviously don't have. I don't know anybody at all. I got to think, though, that if the other word on the street, that there's final builds in people's hands that people are playing, that they're getting close to launch. And again, we've got to keep in mind, this is Todd Howard. The guy had his way. He would launch the game. He would not say a thing about the game until a week prior to launch. Now, he understands that that's not how marketing works. He understands that that's never going to fly in business. But what if him and Phil came to an agreement? Once they looked at the game and said, hey, we're going to be ready by March. That would be an extra 4.5 months, basically, 4 months and a week extra that they got. We're going to be ready by the end of March. We can make the March 23 date. We're not going to say anything yet. And Phil's like, okay, well, we got Redfall. We got Forza. We got to get those out too. And Todd's like, that's okay. We're going to leapfrog them. We're going to be first out the gate in March for you guys. But I don't want to have the release date out there. I want to do it my way. I want to have a nice breakdown, blah, blah, blah. And Phil looked at him and said, cool, we can make that happen. We'll do a show at the end of January. We'll spotlight Redfall. We'll spotlight Minecraft Legends. We'll spotlight Forza. We'll give all the dates for those guys, kind of set up the roadmap. And then we'll let you do your thing, Todd. And Todd's like, cool, February. Give me the end of February. We'll have a whole show put together. We'll break down Starfield, and then we'll launch 30 days later, March 23rd, 2023. I think that's the way it could go down. I'm still on that horse. Again, I could be wrong. I've died on many a hill. I said that Starfield was coming 11/11/22. I've died on many a hill. Again, this is just a gamer. Again, this is my most anticipated game. So yes, all the bias is in my corner, in my head right now. I will not be disappointed if it doesn't happen. The only way I'm disappointed is if any of these games, and even Forza, I will give a little leeway to if it happened. The only way I would be disappointed in any way, shape, or form is if they don't get them all out by the end of June. That's the only way I'll be disappointed, right? Because they made the commitment to their customers that they would have the next 12 months, that these games would be out the door. And like I said, I think it's important for Xbox to start doing this. So I'm still on that. Now, the other thing that I've started thinking about, Mav, when's 3/23/23 is actually when they do the show, when they do the breakdown of Starfield, when Starfield gets its big show. And then they launch in the month of Space Month, which is April.
Right.
See, 3/23/23 is an important date for NASA. Again, I've talked about this. It's when the Wright brothers first patented the first flying machine. That's the anniversary date. It makes a lot of sense. So what if they do the show on 3/23/23, but then launch in the month Space Month, which is April? That would also work as well. But I think Starfield comes out soon. I think that Starfield comes out before E3 because I don't think they would have this show announced, Mav. If it was coming out, let's say at the end of June or after the showcase, they would just have Starfield breakdown during E3. They could start ramping up the marketing and then have a full blowout at E3, which would be huge. It would be astronomical to have Todd Howard on the E3 stage, first time in few years that we have live audience, and he breaks down Starfield just like he did with Fallout back in the day. That would be a moment. And I don't think you take that moment away if you're launching this game after E3. I think this game is before E3. Again, I'm still on the March 23 date. We'll see if that happens or not, but that's my hopes and dreams. I think this is the perfect show. I love that they talked about Starfield not being there. That I saw people saying all these negative journalists are being negative because they were saying, like Ryan McCaffrey, I saw Benji put out a tweet saying, hey, Xbox, word of advice, if Starfield's not going to be at the show, please let everybody know up front that it's not going to be at the show. Otherwise, you're going to get some backlash if it doesn't appear. So I love that Microsoft was upfront, transparent, came out, made the statement, hey, or Bethesda did, that we're going to have a bigger show for Starfield to break it all down. I thought that was appropriate. I thought that was perfect. As far as anything else showing up here, I think that there could be some Game Pass stuff here, which they didn't really talk about at all, but I think some Game Pass stuff could be here. I think they could promote a couple other games that are coming up, like Atomic Heart, those types of games. I think those certainly could show up here. I think the family Game Pass thing could show up if they're ready. And then we gotten word this week as well that started popping up on the homepage for Xbox, that people were seeing it. If they're ready to start launching that, maybe that shows up here as well. My big thing, and I don't, again, I know Boom's panel went crazy the other night with what they wanted to see here, like E3 style shows. Again, I never expected that. I thought an XO maybe at the most, but the direct is great. Perfect time. The one thing I would do, and again, this is me talking, folks, not criticizing. I'm not saying Xbox has to do this. I'm just saying if I was doing this, the one thing I would do, what I would give this show is a hook at the end, right, Mav?
Yeah.
I would hook people. And I would give the Starfield release date at the end of this show. I would do a short, quick Starfield blast, say, hey, we're going to have a full-blown show for Starfield coming up in the next, say, few months. But we got one last thing for you here. And then show a quick, brand new kind of flash of some action or space or a new planet or something. And then Starfield release date. And that would hook everybody. Not that people need to be hooked, but it would hook people to go watch the Starfield. Knowing that release date, knowing that roadmap after you gave the dates for Redfall, Forza, and Minecraft Legends, that would be perfect. That means you lined up your roadmap for the first 6 months. Everything's got a release date. There's no more talk about, well, we don't have dates yet.
Yeah.
We don't even know if it's going to show up. That would put the rest, all of the talk about it moving into late summer, into fall. There's still people out here saying November next year, for God's sakes, or November this year for Starfield. That would put all that to rest, lay out the roadmap perfectly, and people would be waiting on that announcement for that show for Starfield. Like, they would be setting it up. Like, all the people like me who are so hyped that we got to put in vacation time for Starfield, putting in their vacation time, just going, now I know. All right, now I just can't wait for that show. We're going to see this full blowout. It's going to be great. That would be my one last thing. That's how I would do it. Again, I'm a nobody, but that's how I would do it.
I agree. First, before we get into more of this, I got to say, Silent Cypher, a.k.a. the Silent Assassin, Brian Hopkins from Xbox International Podcast, coming out here, laying down 25 gifted Fun Speculation memberships, dude.
Cypher, shout out to you, brother.
5 memberships, dude. I freaking appreciate you so much, man. And everybody else for being here. Thank you all. Enjoy your emojis to the lucky recipients. And if you don't know how to, I think if you click on one of those when they pop up in the chat, you can set it to allow gifts, right? So like allow gift membership. So if somebody ever does that in the future, you may be lucky and get one of those. But yeah, thank you so much, dude. Absolutely amazing. Appreciate the support. Bro, one more thing. Like I keep going back in the because Grub's usually not wrong, right? So like I keep going back in my mind to like that Tango GameWorks rumor,
Yeah,
and that other game. You know what I
the
mean?
Hi-Fi Rush,
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush from Tango.
Is that what it's called? Is Hi-Fi Rush?
Yeah, it's Hi-Fi
Okay.
Rush. Yep.
Like, is that something we could see here? Because
yes,
I mean, we don't know like everything that's going to be at the show, like exactly, right? I mean, they didn't say like detail. Here is exactly it, right? Now, I'm not expecting like
no,
but is that enough? Is that big enough for like a one more thing? You think?
Yes, I think so. Here's I'll go back. Let me expound upon my hook theory as well, man.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, and I know there's people out there that have said, well, they've already laid it out to you. You guys are asking for too much. I'm not asking for much at all here. But what I will say is if this is the show format going forward, Mav, and you're going to have another one of these down the road, you should have some type of hook that people kind of look forward to. And I'm not saying the one last thing has to be the biggest thing in the world. I'm not saying we need a Fable gameplay trailer. It's the one last. I'm not saying any of that.
Yeah.
But if you've got like just give that little hook at the end, Mav, so that when the next developer direct is announced, people are talking about it like, hey, what's that thing? I know what they told us. I'm all excited for all this stuff that they told us. But what's that one thing going to be this time? Look at what happens with Nintendo when they announce a direct, Mav. Every single freaking time a Nintendo Direct is announced, is this when we get Metroid 4 Prime? Is this when we get Metroid 4 Prime? Is this when we get Metroid 4 Prime? We got to show up. We got to see. Is this the time it's announced? Is the new Zelda going to be announced here? Are we getting a new Switch this time around? What are they going to announce? You give people that little hook, and that generates that hype around these shows. And I think Microsoft wants to go for that. I think you do a little. Again, I'm not asking for anything major. I'm not. If they don't do a one last thing, I'll still be a happy camper. But I'm just saying, from a marketing standpoint, from a, hey, what are we going to give people to talk about the next time? You do that. Because then the next time this show's announced, everybody's going to be going, what's that one last thing? What's that one last thing? What are they going to do this time? Even if it's small, it doesn't matter. That gets people excited for these shows as well to come watch. And like I said, you're not just going for the hardcore Xbox audience with these shows. You eventually want to start drawing in a bigger crowd. I watch Nintendo Directs, and I don't own a freaking Nintendo. I haven't owned a Nintendo personally. My kids have. I haven't owned a Nintendo personally since Super Nintendo. I still watch Nintendo Directs. I think that's what Xbox eventually wants to get to in terms of popularity with these shows. So give everybody that little hook at the end. That's what I would do personally. Yeah. Had a couple other comments here real quick, man. And I've seen this comment before too. This is Robadan 202 said, I don't know if launching a game around Resident Evil 4 remake is good. Yo.
This year is gonna there's no I mean
there's no
like this year it's like, okay, so the only way to get out of things this year is to move something into 2024, right? Like that's just the only way.
Oh, the second half right now is kind of open.
The second half is open, but like there's a lot of games like we know are getting release dates for the second half too. And think about this, Pong. Speaking to that, I mentioned this today on Xvlog with Boom, right?
Yeah.
You have this developer direct thing, right? And again, even on the developer direct website, it says featuring, it says the developer direct will focus on big features, extended gameplay showcases,
correct,
and the latest info for Xbox games launching in the next few months,
correct,
including Elder Scrolls Online, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, and Redfall. Right. So again, they're reiterating on this news post that Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, and Redfall are launching in the next few months. How many is a few? 3, 4? You know what I mean? Like
to me, it's 3, but less than 6.
3 to 5, right?
Yeah, 3 then less than
exactly. Same.
Yeah,
right. I think you get to 6 or more. It's several, right?
Yeah,
right. So
correct.
These games are hitting before E3, right?
Yes.
Maybe Starfield as well. Who knows exactly? We don't know yet for sure.
We don't know.
I hope we're hoping so.
Yes,
but
of course we are.
Imagine these games do hit like they promised last E3, right? When they said this E3, we're focusing on games all launching within the next 12 months on Xbox, right? Now, they've promised things before in the past and have not come through, right? For sure.
Correct.
Delays happen. I'm saying if you need till July potentially to get 60 frames on it, I'll take that, right?
If that's what you came out and told me, yes.
Right. So that being said, it is what it is. Imagine going into E3 2023, the first big show with a live crowd for Xbox at the E3 stage in years, right?
Correct.
You have stage presence, you have all this stuff, fan attendance. E3 is back because it's ran by the other company now, and supposed to be. I think it's gonna be an amazing E3 this year. But imagine you clear the deck.
Yeah,
you clear this deck.
Yes, correct.
We go into that E3 2023 with the world wide open to us about what expectations could be there, because they had just cleared the deck with a monumental first half.
Correct.
Next year, if everything goes to plan, that is what we'll have. That's what will be transpiring, right? We get this developer direct. We have launch after launch after launch after launch. Around maybe E3 time too, potentially a closing of the ABK deal, or maybe even before then as well. The first 6 months of this year could be one of the most historic 6 months in Xbox's history as far as incline of what it's doing to the business for the future of Xbox and for gaming. And then you get to the E3 after all of this momentum, after all of this hype, after all of these good games launch one after another, month after month, big first party game, big first party game, big first party game, variety type game, RTSs, Minecraft Legends, all these things, all this. Hey, we're not done yet. We got Game Pass games day one from third party as well. How about Wolong? How about Atomic Heart? How about who knows what's Monster Hunter Rise? All these things.
Yep.
Constantly, like just battering us in the head, just constantly with awesomeness, nonstop. And you clear that deck, and we go into E3 after all this, like, oh my god, it's been fucking crazy 6 months. Oh my god. But like, what, we don't know what's in the future. Right. And then they set that stage.
Yep.
That's the future of Xbox.
Correct.
We're going to live through these exciting times and then get announced more new stuff, because they've been adding all these studios to do it. And it's absolutely insane to finally see this on the horizon. We are as insane. You mentioned Insane Cakes earlier. As he said, we're on the cusp of the new era of Xbox right now. The question is, which games are going to be first to kick this off? That's the only thing we don't know for sure yet, right? No. We'll have a little bit more inkling, maybe at the developer rec, but we won't know for sure.
No.
Until probably the Starfield show, which they said is in the works, right? So, man, I'm pumped for it, dude. I am absolutely pumped for this.
We've talked about this so much, Mav, that this is the way that you do it, right? If you're coming off of a 2022 like they did, with nothing really from first party, and again, yes,